I'm Rigoberto Aguilar. I am an artist based in Irvine, California. I'm 41 years of age and I'm blessed with my wife Erica and our 2 kids. I started creating artwork in school to get out of trouble and to stay busy. It was a really good thing that would keep me busy in 4th grade especially. And I looked like this, so the teachers would leave me alone, but I was really doodling and sketching the teachers, so they thought I was like paying attention perfectly. And then I kept going from there. In high school, I had a teacher who taught me using Bob Ross. She wheeled in an old TV with a VCR and played Bob Ross, and I didn't really get it at the time. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And then maybe like, I don't know, over 10 years of being with my wife, she buys me this art supply kit, and we're looking on Netflix and she's like, oh my gosh, Bob Ross. And I just lose it. I'm like, no way, Bob Ross. So I give it a chance. I started off again, and that was about 8 years ago in 2016. And I started really picking up artwork again, and people were like offering to buy it, telling me I need to get on social media and all the rest. And that's when I really went back into it deeply, into painting with oil. It was 2016. I have a few art pieces that I've broken up onto tiles where I painted like one piece over many different canvases, and that's so you can spread it out. You can put it all together in one painting on your wall, or you can spread it out to a bigger area. It's just kind of fun though. I really like those. Mixture of spray paint and oil. So I did a self-portrait of the moon glowing over Earth in the background, and you're like looking from the International Space Station. And so then I painted myself with oil. I never painted a self-portrait in oil before, so that was fun. I sent a picture to my brother, and he said it looked like George Takei, which I took as a compliment. I'm like, all right, that's cool. But then when he saw it in person, he's like, no, it's kind of creepy. You're following me no matter where I go in the room. Your painting keeps following me. So that was funny. I like those where it looks like you're looking at space. I did one with a railing, kind of a newer one. So it looks like you're kind of standing like at a gate or a railing looking out into outer space. I really like the Northern Lights. I'm painting them a lot lately. I've been painting them. Just still haven't seen them in person, but I've seen pictures and video and stuff. I can't wait to get up there. Another one, let's see. What else do I have up here? I have, gotta turn and look. Oh, the ocean. The moon over the ocean at night is one of my favorite subjects ever. I studied that like even back when I knew I was gonna be a painter one day and I was studying art. I'm like, man, I gotta capture the moon on the ocean at night. It's one of the most beautiful things. So that's one of my favorite paintings to just admire and just meditate on. Let's see, another one. I think that's pretty good. Oh, and I did a campfire at nighttime where you're looking across this pond, like towards a campsite where they have a bonfire going on. I love that one. It's another one of those ones. It's nighttime. I don't know why I love. You can capture so much with the painting that you can't in any other way. The art piece is called Open Doors, and it represents opportunities and doors that are open. And the way it all came about, I was making artwork, and then Jesus came by and he's like, I have this idea for some artwork I'd like you to, maybe think about doing for me, a commission. And I was like, okay, and let me get some ideas going. And then when Jesus was telling me this idea of being on one side of a door that's locked and God's on the other side, and it's only you're the one who's making all these locks on this door and closing this door. And I was like, damn, dude, this guy's like taking me to church. This is exactly how I feel right now. Like, I get like a little emotional about it because it is so true, because that is exactly something that I continue to struggle with, that I've struggled with for a long time, and I will struggle with, is that removing those locks and opening those doors. And I used to worry a lot about my options, and I don't have any options. I need some open doors in front of me, some options that I can go into. And I wouldn't worry enough, and even today I'm not worried enough about what's in front of me, like taking care of my family, taking care of myself. Whatever it is that I can handle and that I can take care of, that's what I need to be worried about, and that's what I need to be taken care of. Like the open doors thing, the opportunities thing, God's gonna provide. He's got me. He's got my back. I don't need to worry about that. Like, that's just an illusion that I'm worried about whether or not He's got my back and whether or not that I got this opportunity or this open door. Like, He's already got it all handled. So it's a mixture of spray paint with the sky and the galaxies and space, and then oil painting with the door. And yeah, it really showed me a lot about myself. It's funny because you think that's like a cliche thing that you don't think is always true in artwork. You're like, I'm just gonna do this and see what happens. And then it's just like, man, this is just, before I even started creating that piece of artwork, picking out the canvas, the oils, anything, it was already like, damn it, dude, this is like about me. And I'm not trying to make it about me. I feel selfish in that regard, but I have to stick with what I know, and I know true that I know itself be true. I know myself, so I got to stick with my struggle. But it was like, man, this is like my struggle right here of just this relationship with God and working on that relationship with God and getting out of my own way and removing my own obstacles that I'm putting in the way. So that is what really spoke to me about that painting. The big adversity that I had was when my parents were going through divorce in my adolescence, and I started running away, and my sister and I were running away, and my brother was, he was getting into trouble as well. We're just, basically, our family unit was falling apart. It was like we had all kind of been hurt by each other so much, me and the rest of my family members, that we didn't really want to be around each other. We were trying to find our own way. So that was really difficult, and we had to go through some really rough years. I had to go to a continuation school that was for like people that had been on probation and stuff. I wasn't on probation, but technically I fit into the mold of that school, and so then I was in a group home. My sister was in foster care. My brother was living with another family. It was pretty bad, pretty difficult there. And it's working a program and not giving up and keeping that relationship with God. Before I forget, let me remember God, of course. The darkest spots I've ever been in, you got to keep that relationship, that personal relationship that you have with God. And nobody can get in the way of that. Nobody has any control over it except you. So you got to keep that for real. And that was another thing where I was raised in the church and I left the church, felt like God had forsaken me, and it was probably the opposite. So a relationship with God for sure, has brought me here, definitely. A piece of artwork that stood out from my youth was when I was in that group home going to that continuation school. I did a self-portrait, well, not a self-portrait, I did a portrait of an old man, and it was from a National Geographic magazine, and I took this portrait out and I did a sketch of it, and it's this big, maybe 3 feet by 2 feet portrait of this man, and I gave it to my grandpa, and he's passed away 20 years ago maybe, so my dad has it now, but that was one of the ones where I worked real hard, and it's just pencil and paper, and I was really shown when other people saw it and they reacted to it, and I was like, wow, art can really change other people's lives as well. Like, it's changed my life and it's made such a positive influence in my life, but then to see it's brightening up other people's faces, and then other people want my artwork. They're like, hey, I need you to do an artwork of my family on the ranch and all this, and I'm like, wow, it's just that one piece of artwork was another one that just cracked open a whole nother world for me. Definitely. I would say beyond like the traditional aspects of art, they say you want to have movement in your artwork and all that to draw in the eye. I try to draw in, like I try to have a lot of movement and all that. I try to have a lot of different colors, like a wide range of colors, a wide range of textures, from like the smooth to the rough, and from like paint barely being on the canvas to paint being so thick it's off the canvas. But if I could have one theme, like I would think it would be warmth or love. Like I really do. I don't know if it's a hippie thing or what, but I really do feel like love is probably the most powerful force there is. And I think that there cannot be too much of it, as long as you're doing it the right way, you know? I think that the more love, the better. And I think that that's a big thing that's lacking across the board in our culture and our world, is that if you could just spread some more love, it might help things improve. And that's really, if I could change one thing with my artwork, if I could give one thing, it would be love. To just give love and peace and kindness. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, when I begin a work of art, sometimes I do stare at a blank canvas for a long time, just trying to put where it is in my mind. And sometimes I'll even put just like a couple of little markers here and there, just to compose the composition, to think of how it's going to work, how it's going to sit, where everything's going to go. Sometimes I will use like little sketches on the canvas that I'll paint over. But I also, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to capture, like if I'm there looking at this thing, what am I going to see? I want that to be the same perspective of the viewer. If there's one thing that I add differently, is I like to add maybe even a little surreal flair to where the colors are a little brighter, or it's a little bit, maybe even, sometimes they're even darker. Like I really love really dark paintings, and those can be kind of difficult to capture. So I have to those are really challenging, because you have to have your subject is lit up that you're creating your artwork on, but whatever your subject is that you're painting is dark. So those take a few different iterations of me actually like doing sketches and getting an idea of what I want before I finally commit to putting it down on canvas. And then you have to look at it in a few different lights too. Like I use some glow in the dark stuff, and you got to look at it in the dark, and you got to look at it in the light and make sure they match. But it's a lot of sketching, a lot of leaving things fluid until that very moment where it's like I'm putting that paint on that canvas, and then okay, that's how that looks. A lot of times it will come together at it's that last moment, you know. Hopefully, you know, when you put that paint on the canvas at the very end, you're like, okay, that did work out. That is how I want that to be. And then when it's not, you just scrape it off or paint over it, you know, and try again. Okay, so in regarding the question about limiting your creativity because of like the price tag on something, I couldn't agree more. Like that was one of the issues I was finding with Open Doors. I'm like, man, I have all these things I want to put in it, but I can't. It has to be big for that to happen, and for it to be big. But so the thing is, I really try to not limit my creativity, and that is such a challenge when you're up against a price point that you cannot go over that price point. The only way that I have found success is being really creative in working around that. If you can use found materials, it's hard because you're a filmmaker, so you would have to have like a donated location or whatnot. But another thing that I use is like donated canvases. I try to reduce the price point as much as possible to increase the creativity as much as possible. But honestly, that is the struggle right there, is to be as creative and successful with the most limited amount of resources. Honestly, one thing I would add in that regard is I use a lot of trash. I find people throw away like canvases, or another one, canvases, they blow me away how people will throw away a brand new canvas that's wrapped up. But Another thing is like for the spray paint, you got to use texture, and you got to use like different, trash works perfectly, because then like an old plastic bag I'm going to throw away anyway, then I'll use it for the texture, or an old like circular piece of trash that you're going to use for a stencil. All you need is that circle shape. I'll use it and then I'll throw it away. But that is such a good question. How do you be as creative and deliver as much as you can within that price point? That is a tough one. I would say I have not found an answer other than donations. Time is another one. It's really hard. It's expensive too. So if you could get somebody to volunteer their time, that would be huge to save you some money. But another thing I would have to add to is just don't give up also. Like if you're finding you're stuck, Einstein used to get stuck and he would play his violin or he would go on a bike ride, and he was convinced that that would get him unstuck. And I agree. I think that it's really good to be able to just set down the paintbrush, the camera, whatever it is, just set it down and walk away and just kind of like get some fresh air and get a new perspective. With space, it kind of became like, ever since I was a little kid, I've always been obsessed with space and stars, and it's just mind-boggling, the infinite nature of space. And a lot of times I get real stressed out and I'm like, I need to escape, I need to get away. But painting is a positive escape for me, because then I can escape into my painting world without taking drugs or like doing anything bad. It's all good. And space was one of those things where it was like, okay, I want to escape, but I want to escape as far as I possibly can. And so I would go to outer space and be like, man, sometimes I want to just like get so far away from all my problems here on Earth, I want to turn around and look back and see the moon, and then Earth way back there, and there's all my problems down on Earth. And I've painted a few like that, where it was just, what would that be like if I was out in that spot in space? And I really enjoy that. And space, like I've never been, you know, not in person, right? But it's so quiet from all the videos and everything. It is so quiet and peaceful, and it really puts things into perspective. Like you think your life is so big and all your problems are so big, and all the war or whatever's on the news, whatever, you know, whatever's in your mind. And then you go into outer space and you're like, man, this is like nothing. This is like the way that we look at sand on the beach. You know, it's like a whole nother world. And I really like that. I'm trying to bring that mentality to Earth, of just that calm and that peace, even in the middle of a storm, even in the middle of chaos. That calm, that peace, that love that you can bring and you can reach people with, and you can placate them and make them happy, make them satisfied, maybe like soothe people. There's a lot of people that need to be soothed right now in this world, all the strife. It's funny, you get, like when I get these views from outer space, it's really hard for me to even remember that there's any anger or strife or war, or all these problems we have. Yeah. Another thing I would say is the meditation point. You know, I pray a lot. I try to pray as much as I can, and I think that meditation, prayer, however you want to do it, bringing in that calm and that peace, and then that'll create a space for creativity, and not just in creating artwork, but also in problem solving. Because like I said, like so much of this is tied together with my own personal problem solving in my life, and helping other people solve problems in their life too. Like you do need to draw on creativity to solve those problems and to cultivate those relationships. So one thing I want to share is, do not ever give up on your dreams. Like there was a long part in my life when I was a kid and I'm like, yeah, but I can't really be an artist. That's different. And just hearing those words out of my mouth just sits poorly with me. Don't ever believe any of that, you know? Like, I really did have it in my mind that I could not be an artist because I needed to get this, I needed to get a degree, I needed to, and then I have people like telling me they want me to paint them this thing that they're gonna buy. So paint it so they can buy it. And it's like, It's like that thing about open doors, and about the destination too. If you know what you want for your destination, you don't need to know all the ways to get there. Like if you know you want to be an artist, or you know, like if I know I want to go to Alaska one day, I don't need to know every single step that gets me there. I don't need to know all the different routes through Canada, however I'm gonna get there. And that's one thing that took a lot of me experiencing that in life before I realized that's absolutely true. You know, you want to be an artist, whatever you want to be, don't wait is another thing. I tell my students, do not wait. Like when I get older, I'm going to be an artist. Just do it now. You don't have to wait. There's no reason. And the other thing would be to not give up either. Like whatever that's going to be, whether that's whatever it is that you're trying to do. Also, don't think like I have to do this before I can do that. As long as you have in mind what you want, go from there. You know you want to be an artist? Go for that. You know you want to be a scientist? Go for that. Like however what's going to take you to get there, then there's so many people that have done it before you. Even if it's something brand new, the universe can open that up for you like nothing. Like it's really surprising, and it surprises me. Because I really didn't even expect this, because I had already gone down this road as a teacher, teaching and thinking like, is art really gonna happen? I don't know, I'm just gonna keep doing it. And if it's up to me, I'm doing it until the very last day. Like that's it. This is what I'm about and what I'm gonna do. And it's not, I'm gonna keep doing it no matter what anybody says. And I think you have to be like that. If you're like that about whatever you're gonna do, then keep doing it. Don't give up on it. Just keep doing it. I'm really looking forward to doing a portrait of someone else. I've done a portrait of myself, and I'm ready to move on to others. I'm thinking even a family portrait. Somebody wants me to do a family portrait. I'm really excited about that commission. He's actually willing to pay me for it. So it's this whole real deal right here. And even a landscape in the background. So I get to put in my twist on it. So I love landscapes, but you know, it's what the customer wants. So I'm really blessed. This customer wants like right up my alley, a mountainous landscape with horses and their family. It's going to be beautiful. I'm looking forward to it.
Where can people find your artwork?
Yes, go to rigobertoaguilar.com. You can check out my website. That's a good way to get in contact with me. I recommend contacting me directly. You'll find my contact information on the website. I want us to find like the blessings that we have in life, no matter how small, and to stay positive and spread the love. I think that those are the big keys in life. I think that no matter how small the blessings are, you still gotta make them count. And I'm guilty of it too. This is a reminder for me to remind myself how blessed I am, and how we get so worried about things that really we should be focused on how blessed we are. So that's it. Yeah.